The cinematic look, while some photos feel like movies, is our topic today on Luminar Coffee Break. Let's see what we can accomplish in 15 minutes or less, starting now. Hello, everyone. So today's episode is actually inspired by one of my teammates, Dimitro, who's part of the engineering team at Skylum, and he started to experiment with putting different colored gels on lights, and he's fell in love with that. That inspired me to walk you through some of the ideas that we have on how to actually do it in camera, and then if you didn't, how you can use Luminar Neo to duplicate that type of effect, so the next time you go out shooting, and if you're dealing with lights, you can get it done. So Dimitro, thank you so much, and I love the fact that my team, these engineers are so brilliant, but they also have the creative side to them, and I love working with a company like this that just mixes the two. All right, well, here we go. Now, we are on a cruise, and I'm going to go through the cruise in a moment that we did this, but I'm going to show you a couple things first, all right? This is part of my Assassin series. I did this many years ago. This is in studio. This is how the image came out, not perfect, but I knew I wanted to add light and different effects to it. So yeah, so when I'm doing this, you design it in a way to where it's flat, so you could add the stuff you want to it, and then if I wanted to, then of course, build the set a little bit further. But this is a good image to experiment with. What makes it look like a cinematic look? The chair, the outfit, the props. Now we did add smoke to the gun and to the cigar. So this is what it came out with. That flooring is part of the flooring that we had. We went around and scraped it all up to try to get this type of look to it. But look at the difference between this and this. Now, here's where you have to ask yourself, do I have time to create the props, the outfits, the chair, and all the studio stuff and all that stuff? Well, that's what makes it cinematic. If I just put a person in that chair, which I did do before with animals, I put a dog in the chair with your owner, it looks cool, but it wasn't as cinematic. This tells a story. Now, this one here, this is what Dimitro is working on. This is my image, but the idea of lighting with the gels. So what I'm going to do is I want to show you ways that I would do it in camera, and then, of course, how I'm going to do it when I don't have access to all of this stuff. So, yeah, so here we are. There's that cinematic look. He's the assassin, and then I think the tagline was like, the hunter becomes hunted, or something like this. He's saving the damsel in distress. To get that gel in the background, what I actually used, because this was outside, and this was dangerous, because we were in a bad part of town. And here we are, making it look like police lights. That's why I have the red and the blue. And yeah, in a bad part of town with a prop gun. And by the way, that prop gun has a orange tip on it. You do not remove that. You leave that tip, because God forbid if a police actually showed up and they see that, it could be dangerous. When they see that orange tip on it, it represents it was a prop gun. That was a real quick fix afterwards. But the lighting, what we did here is we have no power, so we use smoke bombs. And yeah, this is where it got a little dangerous. My good buddy Rick Freeman, I said on the count, light it, wait, and then toss it in, and we'll wait for it to do the smoke. Well, I've never seen a smoke bomb explode, and thank God he let go of it. That's what I mean about stuff like this being dangerous, and I thank God nothing bad happened. But here, we have the light. We put a red gel over the light to gather the background, because we want the alleyway just to have like dimension to it. And then the blue was shot on the where the assassin was, and we had to aim it in such a way to where it went down the wall and it didn't hit the assassin. Now, does that seem like a lot of work? Yes. But that's the cinematic look. Now, here is what I wanted to show you. What happens if you really don't want it that extreme? So we were on a cruise, the Vanelli and Friends cruise we did, and this is Leanne, one of our models. I'm not liking at all. I can't stand the makeup on it looks cheesy, but that's what the makeup artist wanted, and I'm going to show you how I fixed it afterwards. But we were on a cruise ship. How do you build a set? Well, you look around and look at this. We just did a scouting, and now it would have been great. Yeah, actually it is. Yeah, it's in a different language. We just went around looking for areas on the ship that could be like in a movie. And that was one of them. Let's see, another one was this up here. I just loved how we had that. Another one I have, up in here, which I'll show you. This area is right in here. It looks like it's the cockpit, but really it was the radar area, the radar station. So the point I'm getting at, to make it cinematic, it has to tell a story, all right? And that's what we decided to do here. Now keep in mind, and I hate apologizing on this, this was shot in 2012. 2012. That was what, 14 years ago? 14 years ago. Those types of props were like the steampunk type stuff was popular back then. Did not hold up to the hands of time. All right, but there we have it. Now, here's the original image. This is what we're going to do using Luminar. So the whole purpose of this is to show you, to make it cinematic. It's not just the editing, because the editing is just a small part of it. You have to set it up with the props. You have to set it up with the wardrobe, the location. That's cinematic, all right? So let's review what we did here. Now, I'm going to use this real simple. So if you notice right here off to the side, I didn't use a whole lot of fancy stuff, all right? I did use a couple layers to help us here. So what I'm going to do is go back to the original. There we go. And let's rebuild this one. Now, first of all, we have to repair the image. If I'm not mistaken, this was shot, believe it or not, during a thunderstorm or lightning storm at sea. And my son was freaking out saying, you having me hold this long, basically a lightning rod to get this shot? And it wasn't a smart thing to do. But here we are. So I'm just going to fix some of the imperfections of this. And then I do want the color. So I'm going to come in, adjust it. There we go. All right, so I have that set. And because it was shot with an old camera, I am going to use noise reduction. So this is just a real quick. We took it from this to this. Now we can start building, all right? Face, I wish I threw more light onto her face. Since I didn't, let's get creative. Let's go to the portrait tools, and we're going to add a little face light. And that's going to actually help me with too much of the shine on her face. So I have this here, and I'm going to leave the rest of it for now, because the main focus is light. Now, how do I get that light? Well, let's go back up to develop. Ready for this? Temperature. I'm going to take this temperature, Wade. Ooh, look at that. Now I'm taking the temperature, and now I'm getting the look that I want to go for. And then I could paint in and paint out where I want. But right now, look at that. Huge difference. Now let's just get rid of it off of her face. Brush, erase. Now I could do, in fact, why don't we? Mask AI. Let it help me find the human in the scene. And once it finds the human, I'm going to tell it that I don't want it on her. What I'd rather do, here it is, human, I'm going to invert it. Ready? So right now, she's being exposed to that blue tint. Now when I invert it, there we have it. All right? And what I am going to do, though, just a little bit, is I do want a little bit less strength, but I am going to bring it in here a little bit. right? Because, I mean, if that blue light, there, I am going to get some highlights on her. I just don't want it on her face, all right? So now I have that set. Let's deal with this side over here. So I could do one of two things. I can come back in again, and then this time with the temperature, we could change the tint, and all I'm caring about is this side here. Let's see. Yeah, see, I could do it that way, but you know what? That's just going to look a little not as good as I want. I want more control. So what I can do instead is let's just throw in one of these, and I'm going to flip it. Let's go back again. Yeah, so I want this here over on this side. I'm going to drag it out a little bit more. And let's just position it right about, yeah, just to make it look a little more interesting. And right now I'm using, the screen mode. I could change it to soft light. Soft light's not bad, but I wanted that other color. But actually, you know what? I actually like that better. But you know what? Yeah, I actually like that better. So I'm going to dial it back a bit. And then bring this in right about here. There we go. And then mask it. All right, brush. Erase this section here. I don't want any of that on her. There we go. And just leave it in that area here. So let's see if it makes a difference. Yep, minor. All right, so that's one way of doing it. And again, keep in mind, it's going to be different each time because of the way we're creating it. But I am going to come down here, and I could use color harmony and say, okay, you know what, those shadows, let's see if that's going to help me. Yeah, see, to me, it's not making it where I want. So let's go midtones maybe. And all I'm doing is adjusting. I'm trying to get more towards the red. Here we go. Oh, I know why. Move it. I'm on the wrong layer. All right, so make sure that you're on the proper layer. That was adjusting the overlay, and that's not what we wanted. So let's see what color harmony does now. Brilliance. All right, let's go back to the shadows, and let's see if this will adjust it. Here we go. Midtones. Nope. So I'm not getting the actual look that I had earlier. But again, it's one of those things where it's constant, where you're constantly, there we go, experimenting like I just did here, right? Because there's no science to it. It's just being creative. Now I have to look and say, okay, well, how much do I want? Well, this wasn't doing the damage. Up here was doing it. So let's balance it a little bit back with the brilliance right about there. All right. So now that I'm getting it, mask, brush, paint. Now I'm going to lower the strength and just dial in some of it right into here. There we go. All right. So if it doesn't work right away, that's just something you just keep experimenting with it. Now, here's develop. And I'm going to do a global change. I'm going to make everything dark. Right about there. But then the bottom part is I just want to come up and just apply that to the bottom half of the image. There we go. Now the attention's being more drawn to her. All right, so let's see it. Here's before. Here's after. So look at the difference. Now that's cinematic. But why was it cinematic? It was cinematic because of the way she's dressed, the location. Now the lighting matches it. And then if we need to tie it all in, like with a color grade, that's where the mood tool, where we start using LUTs, comes in. And with the LUTs, let's go to cinematic toning. And look, here we go. And look how that just, let's do Long Beach. Look how that's just adding to it. Maybe a little mystical. Oh, there we go. I like mystical here, but I don't want it on her. Erase. Just a little bit there. A little more. All right, there we have it. And then I'll do one last thing, just a little Jim Nix trick. Let's go right about here. And then radial gradient just on her. There we go. Look at the difference, right? Now I could do the same thing, of course, with vignette, but I didn't want to mess with any of the areas around her. I just wanted to work with her there. But look at the difference between this and this. Now it looks like something on a movie poster. We did the same thing, like I said, into the cockpit. So adjustment or let's do virtual copy. And I'm going to remove everything from this one. Oh, you know what? That was a JPEG. Nope. So where's the original? Must be one of the, that's right here. And adjustment. I'm sorry, create a virtual copy, just be on the safe side. There we go. Now I'm going to take that one and revert to original. There we go. So here's the original image. Let's look under the hood. So I'm going to go shadows. I'm going to show you where we were. Look, so that's where we were. All right. So, but look, do you see how that could add to it? So in a case like this, yes, we did underexpose the image. And when you're dealing with something like this, you have to be careful because you don't want to disturb the passengers on the ship. So this was probably done at what time? At, oh, you know, I don't think it has the time. Usually I look at the metadata, but I'm pretty sure that was done at like 2 o'clock in the morning when nobody was there. But look what we just did. Now we're adding more to it. Then I would maneuver. So I added light to the entire scene. Then we'll go back through and finesse it to where it looks like this. Now notice something. I like that much better. I got rid of the face on her. I got rid of that, what I didn't like. So I gave the makeup artist what she wanted because she spent a lot of time doing this. She spent a lot of time creating that artwork. I just didn't like it. I like that better. To me, that looks a lot better than what I did earlier. And all I used here was our gen swap. I used our generative tools. That's how AI should be used. It should be used to help us, because if I had to do that in the old days in Photoshop, trying to take pieces of her skin and mask, it would have been a nightmare. But look at the difference on that. So a huge difference from this shot here to this shot here. All right? It just adds to it. All right? So there we have it. And again, the whole concept with this, and I want to thank again Dimitro for the inspiration, is lighting helps set the scene. Like in this case here, that blue light's in the background, making sure the person has the proper outfit, the wardrobe, and then of course, most importantly, you're making sure you tie it all together. And that's what cinematic is. So when you keep hearing people say, hey, we have these cinematic presets. Yes, the preset's phenomenal, but you have to have an image to match the cinematic look. All right? So I hope that helped you guys. Now, if you want to see more stuff like this, please join us on our Facebook group. There's a link, and people are posting in that group on a regular basis. The images in there are just absolutely amazing. Maybe you'll be inspired on doing some of your own stuff. All right? Now, if you're here, please stick around for the Ask Me Anything segment. For everyone else, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next coffee break.